Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. I am continuing my Bhagavat Katha that I do every month here at Rādhā-Raman Temple. The last time I was here, we finished the first chapter. The first chapter was entitled Questions by the Sages. There were 3 introductory verses which gave us the mission statement of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Vyasadeva, in compiling this Srimad Bhagavatam on the order of his guru, Srila Narada, Vyasadeva first of all told us who and what is the absolute truth. His very first statement, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Vasudev means the son of Vasudeva, Krishna. And the Vasudeva also means that person who is all-pervasive, residing within everyone's heart and actually within every atom of this material, what to speak of, spiritual manifestation. Vyasadeva also informed us that he was going to speak and meditate in this book on the absolute truth, that from which everything comes, that by which everything is sustained, and that by which everything will enter at one point. Then Vyasadeva informed us what makes Srimad Bhagavatam distinct. He said, first of all, Paramo Nirmatsaranang Satam. Who is qualified to understand Bhagavatam? The person has to be free from envy. Envy is the original sin. The reason we find ourselves as prisoners, conditioned souls in this material world is because we are envious of God and His creation. That envy means each and every one of us is trying to usurp the position, imitate, or dominate this material world to a lesser or greater degree. Vyasadeva also told us that this Srimad Bhagavatam is distinct because it is going to reject any kind of kaitava dharma, cheating religion. Cheating religion is that religion which does not inform the person of what is their constitutional position as eternal servant of God. A cheating religion promises material allurements if the practitioner performs certain rites and rituals. That is called cheating religion. Real religion is what Krishna informs us at the close of Bhagavad Gita. Sarva dharman parityaja mam ekam sharanam braja ahang tvang sarva papebhyo mokshayishyami ma shucha. Krishna says the commandment is surrender, give up, He also says Sarvadharman Parityaja. Krishna is also rejecting cheating materialistic religion. That's why he says Sarvadharman Parityaja. He says anything other than surrender to me, that is cheating. That is materialistic. You just surrender to me. Then Krishna says, if you do that, I will deliver you. I will protect you. You will come to me. So Bhagavatam picks up where Bhagavad Gita leaves off. Then in the third introductory verse, Vyasadeva informs us the greatness of this book, that it is Nigama Kalpatara Galitang Phalam, the ripened fruit of the tree of knowledge which we call Vedas. Vedas contains all knowledge, physical, metaphysical, transcendental. And it is compared to a tree. And Bhagavatam is the ripened fruit, the cream of Vedic literatures. Then, in chapter 1, the scene was set. Just at beginning of Kali Yuga, the sages of Naimisharanya, headed by Shaunaka Rishi, have assembled in the holy place known as Naimisharanya, and they are performing a sacrifice which is to last 1,000 years. And they're doing this 1,000-year sacrifice for the benefit of the people who will take birth in this age of Kali. And it was already described by Vyasadeva in this first chapter. Actually, it was spoken by Shaunaka. Shaunaka is the leader of all the sages. That this age of Kali, people are short-lived. They're very unlucky. They are not spiritually inclined, and their minds are always disturbed. The sages of Naimisharanya have assembled, and they have selected Sutta Goswami as their Acharya. The reason they selected Sutta Goswami was because he was present at the original recitation of Bhagavatam by Shukadeva Goswami to Maharaj Parikshit. And before Shukadeva Goswami ended up his instructions to Parikshit, he predicted to the audience, pointing out, here is this Sutta Goswami. He will later speak this Bhagavatam to the sages of Naimisharanya. And that is where the Bhagavatam begins. And the sages of Naimisharanya have asked Sutta Goswami 6 questions. And the most important question of the 6, which will be answered at the end of chapter 3, now that Krishna has returned to his abode. Krishna was on this planet for 125 years. And the very day that Krishna left this planet, the age of Kali began. So the sages ended their questions by asking, now that Krishna has gone back to his abode, accompanied by religion and all kinds of good qualities, where will the people go for shelter? And that question will be answered in chapter 3. Tonight we start chapter 2. If you are ready to hear with rapt attention, please repeat after me. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. I will also point out, today is a most auspicious day. Friday was Ekadashi. Yesterday was the appearance of the avatar Varaha avatar. And today is the appearance of Lord Nityananda, who is on our altar. Nitai Gaur. Nityananda is Balaram, just as Lord Chaitanya is Krishna, Nityananda is Balaram. So it is a most auspicious day, not because it's the Super Bowl. No. So this chapter 2 is entitled Divinity and Divine Service. Divinity means those things which deal with God. Divine service, you know as the word bhakti. That is divine service. Service is the constitutional position of the living entity. In illusion, the living entity thinks he or she is the enjoyer. That's what it means to want to imitate God. God is the enjoyer, not the living entity. The living entity is servant. Now, many of you are thinking, servant? I don't like this. Yes. But what people don't know is that being the servant of God is better than being God. That's what people don't know. What is the proof? The proof is that even God wants to become the servant of God in order to enjoy the higher ecstasy. Can give you many, I'll give you one. You all know Lakshmi Devi. She is on the chest of the Lord, Shri Vatsa. She is Narayan's consort and wife. The wife is always situated on the chest of the husband. Even Krishna with his wives at night would be embracing. All his wives were goddesses of fortune, headed by, not in Dwaraka, and he's not married to Radharani, Rukmini. Yes. So Rukmini and all the other queens, they are embracing Krishna, each one. But Lakshmi, she also wants to taste the nectar of being the servant. So what does Lakshmi do? Comes off the chest, goes down to the feet of the Lord and massages. Now the men are thinking, yes, when is my wife going to do that? When is she going? First become like Narayan, then you can expect. But Ravan is thinking, yes. We have a joke. We think, oh, I have married someone that's just like Lakshmi. But then we find out she turns out to be Putana. And then the woman is thinking, oh, I have married this man. He is just like Kardama or he turns out to be Kamsa. But not you. It doesn't happen to you. But I know people like that. Anyway, Lakshmi comes down from the chest to render service to the Lord because she wants to taste that nectar which is greater than being God, the nectar from bhakti. That's why there's the book, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. So, this is something not even most religions understand. But when you come to Srimad Bhagavatam, this is what you learn. Divine service. To be the servant is greater than being the master. So let us begin this chapter 2. Please repeat. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So Vyasadeva is narrating. Ugrashrava, the son of Romaharshan, who is also known as Sutta Goswami, being fully satisfied by the perfect questions of the Brahmins, thanked them and thus attempted to reply. So this Sutta Goswami is the son of Romaharshan Sutta. Romaharshan Sutta was killed by Balaram. Romaharshan was sitting on the Vyasasan. He was appointed there by the sages, but he committed the offense. Balaram entered the sacrificial arena. Romaharshan was thinking, I don't need to offer respect. I'm sitting on Vyasasan. Balaram detected the pride of Romaharshan. Balaram took a piece of kusha grass and simply touching Romaharshan with the sutta grass, the what did I say? Kind of kusha grass. He killed Romaharshan just with the blade of grass. The sages were surprised. Balaram said, okay, if you like, I'll bring him back to life. God can do that. God can take life. He can bring back. Sages said, no, not necessary. But we gave this Romaharshan certain benedictions. Balaram said, we can give it to his son, Sutta Goswami. They had blessed him with certain benedictions. Then the sages also asked Balaram that every so often, certain time of the month, one demon would come and disturb the sacrifice. So Balaram said, I will kill that Bolvala demon. And sure enough, at the right moment, the Bolvala demon came. Balaram took his plow and brought him down from the sky, and with his club, killed him. Then Balaram continued. This was during the battle of Kurukshetra. Balaram did not participate in the battle of Kurukshetra because he was conflicted. He was on the side of Duryodhana, but he couldn't go against his brother Krishna. Since Krishna was on the side of the Pandavas, and Balaram is obedient to his younger brother, Balaram decided, I cannot participate in this war. So Balaram toured South India. Anybody here from South India? And yes, many, many holy places. Balaram toured all of them, and it's mentioned in Bhagavatam, the various tirthas. He also visited that Kaveri river. Yes? I also visited Kaveri river. So this incident of killing Romaharshan was during that time. Balaram ended his tour and went to the Kurukshetra the day that Bhim and Duryodhana were fighting. And that lasted so many days, right? How many days that battle between Bhima and Duryodhana? 18 days. So Balaram said to both of them, why are you fighting? Duryodhana, you're better with the club. After all, he was both their teacher. He taught both of them how to fight with the club. So he said, Duryodhana, you're better with the club, but Bhima, you are stronger. Therefore, none of you are going to fight. No one's going to win. You're going to fight and fight and fight. But somebody stepped in. Somebody helped Bhima. Krishna. He gave him the clue. Yes, he gave them the clue how to defeat. And then Bhima was successful. Always remember the Krishna factor. It overrides everything. So Sutta Goswami has heard these 6 questions from the sages of Naimisharanya. He has thanked them. In other words, he appreciates the caliber of the question. I have done hundreds of lectures, sometimes not here. I travel all over the world. Sometimes you get silly questions. You don't thank people for silly questions. But when the question is nice, you thank. Oh, that's a very good question. Thank you. That's the system. And then attempted to reply. Srila Sutta Goswami said, let me offer my respectful obeisances unto that great sage who can enter the hearts of all. When taking sannyas, leaving home to take up the renounced order of life, Shukadev went away without undergoing reformation by the sacred thread ceremony or other rituals observed by the higher castes. Shukadev remained in the womb of his mother for 12 years. He didn't want to come out. Why? In the womb, he had become Atmaram. He had become already self-realized. He was thinking, if I come out, I might fall into illusion, or as you say, Maya. But the mother and father, you can imagine 12 years, right? Any of you had children, 9-10 months is enough. 12 years. So Vyasadeva brought Krishna. Krishna, please. Krishna spoke to Shukadev in the womb of his mother. Shukadev, you can come out. Shukadev said, no, I am self-realized now. I am Atmaram. I might fall in. Krishna said, I promise you, you will not fall into illusion. Should he believe Krishna? Of course. Believe Krishna. If Krishna says, then you believe. Yudhishthira hesitated. You know what happened about Ashvatthama the elephant, right? He hesitated, yes. He didn't execute immediately. So, on Krishna's promise, Shukadev came out. But when he came out, he saw, householder, Maya. He took sannyas. He did not want to stay with his mother and father. He considered, they're in Maya. So it says here, his father Vyasadeva, fearing separation, cried out, oh, my son. So he followed for some time. Shukadev was compassionate. He expanded himself, or now in the modern science, clone. Cloning is not new. The demigods cloned themselves when Krishna in the beginning told the demigods expand yourselves and enter the Yadu dynasty. Cloning is at least 5,000 years old. So Shukadev expanded himself. One Shukadev went back to be with Vyasadeva and his wife, and the original Shukadev went out to experience and realize Srimad Bhagavatam. And we don't hear about Shukadev until the end of the first canto, when Parikshit has decided to give up his life, and all the sages and rishis have assembled, and at that moment Shukadev comes and everyone says, yes, he will answer Parikshit's questions. Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto Shukadev, the spiritual master of all sages, the son of Vyasadeva, who out of his great compassion for those gross materialists who struggle to cross over the darkest regions of material existence, spoke this most confidential supplement to the cream of Vedic knowledge after having personally assimilated it by experience. We call that Vigyan. Book knowledge is called Gyan. But book knowledge is not as valuable as Vigyan. You take the book knowledge and you put it into practice, you see the result, you get realization. I give you a practical example. Say you have never had some rasmalai. Now you can read how to make it. You can read other people's experience. You can know all the ingredients, but until you taste, you don't know. Once you taste, now I know what is rasmalai. Vigyan. So book knowledge does not give you the experience, but you put into practice the teachings of Bhagavad Gita or Srimad Bhagavatam, then you see the result. This is the same concept Krishna explains in chapter 9 of Bhagavad Gita, Pratyak Shabhagamam, that this science, please, it is a science. It's a scientific process. It's not just a religion. It's not just a faith. It's a science. You put into practice Krishna's instructions or Rama's instructions. Any instruction from the Vedic literatures, you put it into practice, in time you will see the result. Now you have Vigyan, and with that Vigyan, now you have potency to explain to others. So, Gyan and Vigyan, they should go together. So why is, as it says here, Shukadev spoke this Bhagavatam for those who want to cross over this material existence. And again, cream of Vedic knowledge. Last 21 days I was in Australia. I went to one ISKCON farm. I was with the cows. And these two calves, I was told that the calves, they like if you scratch the neck. So once you start scratching, they don't let you stop. I was trying to chant japa, but the calf took his head and, come on, more. I had to be there 20 minutes. They loved that scratching. And the Gopa, my godbrother, Venu Gopal is his name. And then there were two, so I had to scratch two. And if I stopped, he'd take his head very forcefully. Come on. He bumped me. He wanted to be scratched. Such a nice experience. So there, they have nice, fresh, real milk with the cream and ghee. So the cream, that's the best part. Bhagavatam is the cream of Vedic literatures. Listen to this. This is Sutta Goswami. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest. What are we conquering? Illusion, Maya, gross materialism, ignorance, lust, anger, greed. This is what we're supposed to be conquering by Srimad Bhagavatam. So this Bhagavatam is the very means of conquest. Like on the battle of Kurukshetra, Arjuna had special weapons which he was using to defeat the army. Special select weapons. One was given by Lord Shiva, yes? He had gotten certain weapon from Lord and other devatas, also from his father Indra. So many weapons he was given. So this Bhagavatam is also a weapon to destroy the age of Kali. So before reciting Bhagavatam, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead, Narayan. Everybody say? And that Narayan, whenever I hear Narayan, I always think of Ajamila. That on his deathbed, even though he was totally sinful rascal, even though he was not calling Narayan but calling his son, but Narayan is so nice, he said that he's calling my name. He sent his servants. So we should never underestimate the power of the name of God. Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Nama Bakibalam Kalo Nastyeva 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 Gatiranyata. And somebody might be thinking, oh, that's good. I think I'll be like a Jamil, and then at the time of death I will maybe. Good luck. You may not be as fortunate. That's why it is advised to practice chanting. That's why we do japa. At the end of this lecture, we will do japa. That is practice. It's like they're playing that Super Bowl. So they had 2 weeks to practice. So we have so many years to practice for the time of death. That is our Super Bowl. Our Super Bowl is the time of death. And it's not easy to chant at the time of death. As Krishna explains in the Uddhava Gita, severe pain. And you may be very sick and it may be difficult to chant. So we practice now. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. You can always know how you're doing when you get cut off on the freeway by somebody. What comes out of your mouth? Oh, good. Then you have practiced. Some people, Krishna doesn't come out. Some other mantra comes out. That's how you know if you have been practicing. What mantra comes out when somebody cuts you or steps on your toe during the kirtan? Huh? When I went to Tirupati, 2008, when you get to the final, there's this, it's like as wide as this altar here. And everybody's just rushing in. And I was like amazed. There was these little old ladies using their elbows to get. I was like, wow. There's no fooling around there. Everybody's just, because you only get a few seconds, right? Then the pujari is, okay, move on. They even had a policeman in the temple to keep the traffic moving. But I was blessed. When the priest saw me, he said, oh, he recognized I was with ISKCON. He said, you can stay. And he said, have you got good look? I said, yes. Okay. He let me stay long. Everybody else, so I was blessed. So let's all say that name, Narayan. We should also offer obeisances to Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. O sages, I have been justly questioned by you. Your questions are worthy because they relate to Lord Krishna, and so are of relevance to the world's welfare. Only questions of this sort are capable of completely satisfying the self. So this verse stands out, special. First thing, Sutta Goswami is thanking. Yes, you have asked nice questions. Thank you. Now he says, why they're nice questions? Because they relate to Lord Krishna. Why is Mahabharata considered Vedic scripture? Because besides the Pandavas, somebody else is coming in and out. Krishna. And Vyasadeva himself mentions that the whole purpose of reading Mahabharata is to get to Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita is the words of Krishna. So what makes a thing good or bad is how much directly it is connected to Krishna. Things that are distant from Krishna, that is called Maya. But things that are directly related to Krishna, that is good. We want to get as direct things to Krishna. And so, these are relevant to the world's welfare. Somebody may say, how is that? The answer is Draupadi. When Durvasa Muni came at the urging of Duryodhana, Duryodhana was trying to put the Pandavas in trouble because Durvasa Muni is expansion of Lord Shiva, son of Atri. So Durvasa Muni gets very, very angry, easily angry. So Duryodhana was thinking, I will send Durvasa most likely after Draupadi has finished her meal. Therefore, the plate will not be of any good. Durvasa came with 10,000 disciples. How are they going to feed? And that's exactly what happened. Durvasa arrived after Draupadi, because Draupadi would eat after everyone else. She would eat last. So, Durvasa said, we're going to go to the river, take our bath. When we come home back, supply us what she can do. So she prayed to Krishna. And Krishna arranged, yes, give me. Is there anything left? Anything? There was one little thing left. Krishna ate. What happened to Durvasa and the sages? We're so full. They did not come back. What does this episode teach us? This is the essence of bhakti. First you satisfy Krishna, then everyone is satisfied. The demoniac way first satisfy me. Then I will. No. The bhakti thinking is first Krishna. Just like you offer the food here first, right? Gadadharji? Right? We first offer. Yes. Then we honor the prasad. Otherwise it's not prasad. It's called bhog. And bhog turns to rog. Rog means disease, right? Yeah. That's exactly what's stated by Krishna in Bhagavad Gita. Those who do not offer food first for sacrifice eat only papa, sin. It's directly stated in 3rd chapter of Bhagavad Gita. If you're eating food that's not offered as sacrifice, you're eating lumps of pop. And amount means soda pop. Pop means sin. So the bhakti process is first everything is offered to Krishna. Then in Bhagavatam, Narada Muni in 4th canto will give a nice example. When we water Tulsi, where does the water go? Root. I know because when I grew up, my father owned a nursery. So every Saturday I had to go and water the plants. My father would always say, Nikki, water the root. I was thinking, what are you talking about? But that's what my father said. Then later, when I found my spiritual father and he explained this, I said, oh, my father is real guru. He told me to water the root. So we water the root because that's where the plant or tree drinks from its roots. That's where the Atma is, in the roots. The roots get the water, boom. Nice. Then another example Narada gives, we don't put the food in the ear or the eye or the nose. The food goes in and it goes to the stomach. From the stomach, everything is transformed. It has to go to the stomach. Prabhupada used to say, all the diseases start from the stomach. You take care of the stomach, don't overeat, keep it working nicely, good fire of digestion, then you'll live long, healthy life. So that is the bhakti process. First satisfy Krishna, everything else comes and gets satisfied. So that is why it says, questions of this sort, questions about Krishna, are for the world's welfare. So right now, we are doing something that's benefiting the whole world because we're hearing and chanting about Krishna. We are doing the right thing. We're not blowing things up, are we? No. We are doing things to benefit the world. Then it said, only questions of this sort are capable of completely satisfying the self. Because the soul is part and parcel of Krishna. That's what Krishna says. Mama eva angsha in the 15th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Mama eva angsha. Jiva. Right? Krishna says, you are my part and parcel. You belong to me. Krishna is saying, you belong to Krishna. If this concept actually is accepted and appreciated, it should make you very happy. Just think, if you were the son or daughter of Bill Gates, would you have Shri Shri Rādhā-Raman ki jai? Say you were the son and daughter of Birla, right? You would think, what's there to worry about? Right? Is Birla still he's the top wealthiest man in India? Who's? Ambani? All right. Whatever the latest one is. Right? But we are the child of the richest, most beautiful, most famous, most powerful, most knowledgeable personality, Krishna. But it requires some little faith. That's the problem. The faith. How do you get that faith? Can't buy it on Amazon.com. No, that faith is gotten by the association of persons who already have the faith. That's where you get, just like me. Where did I get my faith from? Srila Prabhupada. Nothing I did. But somehow or other, I have faith in Srila Prabhupada. That's why I'm sitting here. That's why I got to go to Australia and preach. I'm still alive today only because I still have faith in Srila Prabhupada. And that faith has made all the difference in my life. You come in contact with someone who has firm faith in Krishna, then you also will get the faith. So I'm going to stop this Bhagavad Gita here because the next statement is a class in itself. This next statement by Sutta Goswami is so important. Next month, the whole class will be on this verse. But I'm not done. I still have at least 5 minutes. Yes. So let me talk now about Lord Nityananda. So, Lord Chaitanya, who is accepted and is here on your altar, Lord Chaitanya is Krishna, coming in the role of his own pure devotee, like I said at the beginning. Being the servant of God is higher than being God. So, Krishna looks at Radharani and sees that she enjoys more than him. And he can't understand it. How is this possible? Krishna wants to know, what is it like loving him? Just like somebody once asked my son-in-law, what's it like being the son-in-law of that Nirantara? Right. So, the wife, you don't know what it's like being married to you. And the husband, you don't know what it's like being married to you. In order for you to understand it, you would have to take the position. That's when you understand. Like we have another expression, backseat driver. Ever had that? No. The person who's driving, they know what's going on. Not the back. And that's why after a while you go, hey, look, you want to drive? You drive. But I'm driving, please, Shanti. In America, we say something else, and it's not Shanti. It's almost like Shanti. Yes. You have a much nicer word. Americans a little gruff. So unless you're in the position, you don't know. Just like you ladies, you know what it was like to give birth. The husband has no idea. No idea whatsoever. In fact, many men, when they see, they faint. To think that experience of birth, you have to go through it, then you know. Krishna tries to understand. He cannot, so he takes Radha's position. And when Krishna takes the position of Radha, that is known as Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Similarly, Balaram, Krishna's elder brother, and his first expansion, Conundrum, his first expansion and his elder brother. Doesn't make sense, does it? That's because it's spiritual. Don't try to understand it. You just accept it. Balaram also wants to experience the nectar of being Krishna's servant. Therefore, he takes the position of Nityananda. The very name Nityananda, eternal, everlasting pleasure. And Nityananda, he helped Lord Chaitanya in his preaching. Lord Chaitanya told Nityananda, you go to Bengal and deliver. You leave my company and you go and you spread this love of Krishna. So Nityananda, he is very, very compassionate. And his effulgence is compared to millions of moons. So I'll just chant for a few seconds, then we'll have japa. And my best friend here at the temple, Gadadhar Maharaj, he will help sing. Hari Haraye Namaha Bala. Hari Haraye Namaha. Krishna Yadavaya Namaha. Gopala Govinda Ram Sri Madhusudana. Hari Haraye Namaha. Krishna Yadavaya Namaha. Gopala Govinda Ram Shri Madhusudana. Hari Haraye Namaha. Krishna Yadavaya Namaha. Gopala Govinda Ram Shri Madhusudana. Hari Haraye Namaha. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hari Haraye Namaha. Bolo. May Lord Nityananda bless you, protect you, and maintain you. Hare Krishna.